Rooted deep inside the emptiness that makes up the space between the very molecules in our living, breathing and realistic world sits a magical force, so potent and so dangerous, only a few dare to tap into its full potential. It can turn even the brightest scholars into complete masses of randomness, and it spawns creatures unimaginable to the simple human brain. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another rough guide to Midgard, and today I want to talk about the coolest form of magic your wizard can learn: void magic. Hi there, fellow roleplayers and game masters. Welcome to another rough guide to Midgard, where I take a bit of lore, a bit of interesting lore from the Midgard campaign setting and present it to you in a more approachable, wrapped up, understandable way. Now, the theme of void magic comes back through almost all books Kobold Press does. The World Book, the Southlands World Book, there's more information about it in Deep Magic. There's like void magic items in Vault of Magic. There are void creatures in like every monster book they do. And there's even an entire PDF devoted to void magic and like their followers and the people, like the cults around it, on their website in a Warlock PDF, which is just recently launched. And I've read all of that, like everything there is to read about it, and I still don't understand what it is. So just enjoy this footage of some ducks flying in a V shape, because it's pretty cool that they fly in a V shape. Now, in order to explain void magic, I want to use somewhat of a weird example, but I want you to stay with me for a bit. It kind of goes off of the idea that for everything created in the universe, in the multiverse, wherever, there should be another thing created that is the exact opposite. For every plus, there should be a minus. For every yin, there should be a yang. For every up, there should be a down. And it is the same thing for our material world. For every material world that is created, there should be the exact opposite, which is nothing. It is destruction itself. It is the absolute abyss. In other words, the void. I kind of compare it with your operating system on your computer. Your operating system on your computer could be our reality. It has boundaries, it has rules. When you do this, you click here, it does this. When you do that, it does that. Then there is the code on which the software, the operating system is built. The code itself, by itself, every little bit of code by itself means exactly nothing. But all of it combined in a certain way creates this operating system, this reality, this touchable, approachable thing, right? But as we all know, from bugs in video games and software or whatever, we know that if you change a little thing in the code, in the backhand of a computer program, it can have... We all know when we are using a video game or we're doing something and your computer just does something without you asking, or does the other thing that you ask or whatever. There's just a little glitch that's in there, a glitch in the code, and that's basically what void magic is doing. With void magic, you are kind of like taking stuff away from the reality, which has consequences, and you don't always know what consequence there will be, how serious the consequence will be, if people are going to completely die or they're just going to be vanished from existence and stuff like that, because you are literally messing with the code on which the operating system is being built. And that is void magic, and that is also why it is so extremely dangerous, because you are not messing with just the rules of physics within your reality. You're actually literally messing with the forces of time and space themselves. Now, in order to tap into the full potential and the power of the void and void magic, we need to learn void speech. Void speech is somewhat of a new language Kobold Press introduces in their books, but it is not a language in the same way where I speak a language with somebody and they speak back. No, it is a language that's actually hidden across different papers, scrolls, glyphs, spoken language, and it's constantly tainted, and it's constantly trying to reach out into the material world and cause destruction and take bits of people's reality, change them for a different version, and then give that back. The void is almost a living and breathing thing that is constantly trying to reach out into the material world and trying to change the reality, and void speech is the way to tap into that. Now, void speech is extremely dangerous to use, extremely dangerous to read. By just reading a piece of text that looks like a plain piece of text, but it is inscribed with void magic, you could start bleeding from your eyes or your nose, or you can just fall to the floor prone and be dead for the rest of your life. Also, by reading it out loud, people who hear it need to roll saving throws in order to not become like get instant insanity. It is stuff like that. But of course, it has a great power, and the great power attracts many wizards. First of all, the only people who are able to cast void magic spells or speak void magic, void speech, are wizards. That's it, period. Only wizards will be able to do it, at least in the Midgard Campaign setting. And there's a lot of people that want to know more about this, and these people that the void actually reaches out to and kind of like in a way promises them new forms of power. But what they don't realize is that they are actually giving away parts of their own reality, and there's only a very small fraction of wizards, of scholars who are actually able to cast void magic to its full potential without dying or becoming completely insane on the spot. Now, people who get themselves in contact with the void are actually in risk of getting void touched, and that could get you void taint effects. Now, if you learn a new void magic spell, or you do a long rest in a void tainted area, or you hear somebody use voice speech, or you read voice speech, you need to make a charisma saving throw. If you fail that saving throw, you get void taint effects. Well, first of all, you get a level, which is a different number for everybody. If you reach a certain level, you get these effects, and these effects go all the way from long-term madness, which is really bad stuff, to what Kobold Press calls flash warps. This is, by the way, in the Kobold Press Midgard handbook, and these flash warps are really crazy. It is from emitting a stench constantly to growing tusks from your mouth, not like in the cool way, but like literally from your mouth, what makes you unable to really speak and cast spells because you're now you have these tusks in your mouth, right? So all of this stuff can happen from being in the vicinity of void touch stuff, like touching a void tainted magic item or whatever, and all of these are only the dangers that come from that kind of stuff, and it's not even talking about casting actual void magic spells. So, you want your character to be able to cast void magic. Well, you're not in luck, because technically there isn't a single player character who can cast void magic spells. Hear me out. Void magic spells are unable to be learned by anybody other than wizards. And even they have a hard time learning them, because there are a lot of void magic spells in the books from Kobold Press, but all of these spells, you can never take a void magic spell from the spell you get from leveling up as a wizard. So say you are a School of Divination wizard and you level up, you get to pick 2 new spells. You cannot pick a void magic spell from that. Now you're asking yourself, how the frick do I get a void magic spell? Well, you need to learn it from a glyph or from a piece of paper, or you need to read it on a wall in the deepest depths of a dungeon, or you need to hear somebody actually utter the deep speech words of a void spell. You need to remember it, write it down, and that's the only way for you as a normal wizard to ever be able to cast a void magic spell. Of course, it is at your DM's discretion what spells you encounter, where you encounter, how deep you have to dig to actually be able to pick them up. But if you want to play a wizard that's actually able to tap into the powers of the void, you can play a subclass which is in the Midgard Worldbook on page, I need to peek, 405, and it is the Void Speaker. The Void Speaker, even they can use void magic, but even they can only take one void magic spell every time they level up. So they need to take a divination or a conjuring or whatever type of magical spell, and they can take one void magic. So even for them, they're not yet really reaching the full potential of void magic. And because of what I said earlier, everybody needs to roll these saving throws when they are learning new spells or touch magic items, or for example, if you are a wizard and you come across this wall that has void speech on it and you want to read it because you think it's a new spell, you start reading it, you start bleeding from your eyes, you get blurred vision, and you become deaf for like 2 days or whatever because blood is coming out of your ears. Stuff like that will potentially happen even to you as a wizard and even to you as a void speaker. And just to give you an idea of the powers of void magic, I want to read a spell out loud for you. It's called Living Shadows. You whisper sibilant words of void speech that cause shadows to writhe with unholy life. Choose a point you can see within range. Writhing shadows spread out in a 15-foot radius sphere centered on that point, grasping at creatures in the area. A creature that starts its turn in the area or that enters the area for the first time on its turn must make a successful strength saving throw, which strength is something that doesn't often happen, so it's really cool to have strength as a saving throw, or be restrained by the shadows. A creature that starts its turn restrained by the shadows must make a successful constitution saving throw or gain 1 level of exhaustion. That is the power of void magic. So by changing the reality around you, you're actually making shadows grasp onto people. Normally, shadows aren't able to do that. Normal shadows are just being cast on a freaking wall and they're just good where they are. But this time around, they're actually grasping people. And the longer they grasp you, the more levels of exhaustion you get, which can become really dangerous really fast. Now for more spells, you can always look into a deep magic, because right here they go a little bit deeper into the magic, into a void magic. As a matter of fact, there's an entire section with new void magic spells, and my absolute favorite void magic spell is a 6th level evocation void magic spell, which is called Life Drain. Basically, you create a swirling vortex of purple energy, right? And within this vortex of energy, everybody who's inside of it, it's a 15-foot, blah, 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 takes 10d6 damage. It takes 10d6 necrotic damage inside this vortex. But for every creature damaged in this way, you can choose another creature, one of your allies or whatever, to gain hit points equal to half of the damage you dealt to the creatures inside the freaking... Now next, I want to really talk about creatures from the void, like the Voidling itself, the Void Dragon, which is the most powerful and wicked dragon ever in the entire lineup of Kobold Press, and even the Aboleth, which has a really interesting tie-in to void magic and the void itself. And in order for me to be able to talk about that, I need to create an episode 2. If you want to see that, make sure to jump in the comments below, hit the thumbs up, and tell me that you want to see an episode 2 of this introduction to void magic called Creatures from the Void. Until next video, bye-bye.